That moment when the air in the room changes, the energy becomes dense, heavy. The person who seemed normal just a few hours ago now barely looks your way. You mentally review the last 24 hours. What did you do? What did you say? Was it the tone of voice you used? Was it because you took 5 minutes longer to reply to a message? You start walking on eggshells. You become smaller, quieter, trying not to disturb the minefield your home has become. This paralyzing sense of impending guilt, of constant judgment, is not an accident. It is not his way of dealing with stress. It is a strategy. It is a system. It is the narcissistic punishment system. Most people think of punishment as reactive. You do something wrong, you face a consequence. But in the world of narcissism, punishment is not a reaction to your behavior. It is an action to ensure his control. The narcissist does not punish you because you did something wrong. He punishes you to remind you who is in charge. He punishes you to condition you not to do anything that threatens his fragile structure of superiority. He punishes you to keep you in a perpetual state of imbalance, doubt, and fear. Today, we are to decode this system. We are not going to talk about how to deal with the punishment. We are going to dissect how it works, why it is used, and what the psychological mechanism is behind the anger, the silence, and the confusion. Because confusion is the fog that allows the abuse to continue. And what we are looking for here is clarity, and clarity is power. My name is Lauren Mitchell. My purpose with this channel is to show you that the problem was never you, and more importantly, that you are not alone. If this video resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and like the video. I appreciate your support. Let's paint the scene you know so well. Narcissistic punishment rarely starts as a cataclysmic event. It begins subtly, escalating as you become more entangled. In the beginning, maybe it was just a look of disapproval when you laughed too loudly at a party. A raised eyebrow when you mentioned an accomplishment at work. Small pinpricks, almost imperceptible, that made you think, did I imagine that? But then, the system solidifies. The punishments become clear, episodic events, creating a tension and relief cycle that is addictive and destructive. Remember that time you forgot to buy his favorite type of coffee? For a normal person, that is a minor inconvenience. For the narcissist, it is a personal affront, evidence of your incompetence and lack of care. What followed was not a conversation, but a disproportionate outburst. The anger was not about the coffee. The coffee was just the justification. The anger was the punishment for you not reading his mind, for you failing in your primary function, to serve him perfectly. Or think of the opposite scenario, the silence. You had a wonderful day. You went out with a friend you had not seen in months. You come home radiant, full of energy, and you hit a wall. He does not answer your questions. He gives monosyllabic replies. He sighs heavily while looking at his phone. If you ask, what is wrong? The answer is a sharp, nothing. But you know it is everything. You know you are being punished. Your crime? Having found happiness outside of him. Having sought emotional nourishment from a source other than him. Your independent joy was a reminder to him that you do not need him, and that is intolerable. The punishment, the silence, is designed to drain that joy from you, to make you associate your independent happiness with the pain of his disconnection. And this is where you start to feel crazy, because the outside world does not see this. If you tried to explain to someone, I am upset because he hasn't talked to me properly since I went out with my friend, you would sound childish, needy. The narcissist is a master at creating punishments that are invisible to the outside world, but that resonate deeply with your insecurities. He punishes you for your victories, making you feel guilty for your success. He punishes you for your friendships, making you feel divided. He punishes you for your emotions, calling you too sensitive when you react to the pain he himself inflicted. The result is an exhaustion you cannot explain. You live in a perpetual courtroom where you are the defendant. The narcissist is the prosecutor, judge, and jury, and the laws change daily. What was acceptable yesterday is a capital crime today, and that is why you felt constantly confused. That is why you apologized for things you did not understand. You were not reacting to a relationship. You were trying to survive a sadistic control system. You were being trained to be the perfect source of supply, and punishment was the tool of domestication. The confusion you felt was not a defect in your mind. It was the goal of his tactic. The first and most primitive pillar of the narcissistic punishment system is the overt one, explicit punishment. This is the hammer. It is the tool he uses when subtlety fails, or when he needs to quickly establish the power hierarchy. Explicit punishment includes shouting and angry outbursts, direct insults and devaluation, breaking objects, threats, to leave, to expose you, to take something away from you. Many victims, and even ill-informed therapists, confuse this with a loss of control. They say, he has a difficult temper. He gets stressed and explodes. Let's be absolutely clear. This is not a loss of control. It is a demonstration of control. When the narcissist explodes, he is engaged in a highly calculated act of emotional terrorism. The goal is not to express frustration. The goal is to terrorize and condition you. This is behaviorism in its darkest form. Think of Pavlov's dog experiment, where the dog is trained to associate a bell with food. The narcissist does the opposite. He trains you to associate your independent actions with pain. It works like this. The stimulus, your action. You decide to enroll in a course. You receive a compliment from a coworker. You set a boundary and say no. The response, the punishment. The narcissist explodes. He calls you selfish for wanting to take the course. What about our time? He accuses you of flirting with the coworker. You're a tramp. He flips the script on your boundary. Who do you think you are talking to me like that? The result, the conditioning, you learn. Your brain, to protect itself from pain and conflict, creates a direct association, independence, and pain, success, punishment, boundaries, counter abandonment. The next time you think about enrolling in a course, you will hesitate. You will feel a pang of anxiety. You will remember the fight. And maybe, to keep the peace, you will drop the idea. Mission accomplished. The narcissist's anger is not random. It is specifically targeted at anything that threatens his control narrative. He does not get angry when you serve dinner. He gets angry when you serve dinner 5 minutes late, because that suggests his time is not your top priority. This explicit punishment serves 3 control purposes. First, it creates fear. Fear is the strongest binding agent in an abusive relationship. Fear of the next outburst, fear of his anger, fear of his disapproval. This fear makes you walk on eggshells. Second, it isolates you. After a few public outbursts or embarrassments, you stop inviting friends over. You stop telling your family what is really happening, because his anger will turn against them or against you for exposing the relationship. Third, and most important, it breaks your self-esteem. When you are repeatedly called stupid, fat, incompetent, or crazy, a part of you starts to believe it. It is a form of indoctrination. He needs you to believe you are worthless, because if you believe you are worthless, you will not leave him. You will believe nobody else would want you. Explicit punishment is the foundation of control. It is the dirty work, the grunt work of manipulation, designed to break your resistance and make you pliable for the more sophisticated forms of punishment that will follow. If explicit punishment is the hammer, passive punishment is the scalpel. It is more subtle, cleaner, and in many ways, infinitely crueler. This is where the narcissist moves from physical control, fear of outbursts, to absolute psychological control. Passive punishment is the art of punishing you without looking like he is punishing you. The tools here are withholding, ambiguity, and silence. The main tool in this arsenal is the silent treatment. The silent treatment is not just needing some time or not wanting to talk. It is the total, deliberate withdrawal of connection, designed to make you feel like you have ceased to exist. It is the perfect weapon for the narcissist, because it allows him to inflict immense pain while maintaining plausible deniability. I didn't do anything. I was just quiet. Here is how this punishment works on a deep level. Humans are fundamentally social creatures. Our brain is wired to seek connection. Ostracism, being cast out of the tribe, is registered in our brain as a threat to survival. The pain of social rejection activates the same pain centers in the brain as a physical injury. The narcissist knows this instinctively. When he gives you the silent treatment, he is cutting off your emotional oxygen supply. You are in a vacuum. You try to connect, and all you meet is a wall of indifference. You talk, he does not respond. You touch him, he stiffens. He moves around the house as if you were a ghost. It is psychological torture, and the goal is to make you break. The silence creates an information vacuum that your mind rushes to fill, and because you have been conditioned to believe everything is your fault, you fill that vacuum with self-blame. What did I do? He is right. I am too demanding. If I hadn't gone out with my friend, he would be talking to me. I need to apologize. I need to fix this. The silence is a torture chamber where you are forced to become your own aggressor. You become the detective, the prosecutor, and the defendant, all inside your own head, while the narcissist watches, silently, with a sense of absolute power. He knows that every hour of silence increases your desperation. He waits. He waits until you cannot take it anymore. And then, what do? You apologize. You beg. You offer a peace treaty, sex, a special dinner, a promise to change. You apologize for a crime you did not commit, or for a crime that was not even named. The moment you apologize, the game is over. He has won. The silent treatment has achieved its control goals. It reasserted power. He proved that he controls the emotional reality of the home. He can turn your existence on and off with the flick of a switch. It evaded accountability. He never had to say what bothered him. He forced you to guess and, in the process, to take all the blame. It conditioned you. You learned once again that disconnection is the price of your autonomy. Next time, you will think twice before doing what displeased him. Other forms of passive punishment include withholding affection, not touching you, withholding information, making plans, without you, and the passive-aggressive dig, sarcasm, compliments that are insults. All these tactics create an environment of chronic instability. You never know where you stand. There are no clear rules, just the constant threat of the temperature drop. This instability is what generates the trauma. You do not relax. You do not sleep well. You live in a state of high alert. Passive punishment is designed to keep you permanently destabilized, because a destabilized person is easy to control. This is the final and most destructive pillar. It is the narcissist's scorched earth strategy. In the previous pillars, the narcissist was punishing your actions, your independence, pillar 1, or your refusal to submit, pillar 2. In this third pillar, the narcissist is no longer punishing what you do. He is punishing what you are. He is punishing your perception, your memory, your call, sanity, and your very identity. The goal here is not just control, it is annihilation. If he cannot control you, he must destroy your ability to trust yourself. The tools of this punishment are gaslighting and triangulation. Gaslighting is the punishment for your memory. It happens like this. The narcissist does something abusive. He yells, he lies, he breaks a promise. Later, when you are calm and try to have a mature conversation about it, you say, "I was hurt yesterday when you yelled at me and said I was incompetent." The punishment for your memory is immediate. Reality is denied. He will not discuss the content of your complaint. He will attack your perception of it. "That never happened. I didn't yell. You're just too sensitive. I never said you were incompetent. I said you needed to try harder. You always twist my words. You're crazy. You need help." This is not a discussion. It is a punishment for daring to record reality. The narcissist is telling you, your version of the facts is unacceptable. Only my version exists. Trying to have your own memory is an act of rebellion, and you will be punished for it. Repeat this hundreds, thousands of times. And what happens? You start to doubt yourself. Did I imagine it? Am I too sensitive? You stop trusting your own mind. You stop recording his transgressions, because it is too painful to be punished for simply remembering. You become a blank canvas, and he becomes the only artist authorized to paint on it. That is total control. The second tool is triangulation. This is the punishment for your worth. Triangulation is the introduction of a third person into the relationship to destabilize you. It could be an ex-partner, a co-worker, even a family member. The narcissist punishes you with triangulation. When you disappoint him, i.e., when you do not worship him enough, or when you criticize him, the punishment works like this. You set a boundary. Instead of dealing with your boundary, the narcissist immediately changes the subject and says, "You know, my ex never had this problem. She was so easygoing and understanding." That sentence is a masterpiece of multifaceted punishment. In a single blow, he invalidated your boundary, compared you unfavorably to another person, instilled jealousy and insecurity, suggested you are replaceable. He punishes your attempt to have self-worth by reminding you that there is a bench warmer waiting to take your place. He does this when he openly praises another person in front of you, focusing on qualities he says you lack. He does this when he confides in a friend or family member about how difficult you are, painting you as the aggressor and himself as the victim. This final punishment is the most insidious because it does not attack your actions, but your core. It erodes your sanity, your sense of worth, and your connection to reality. The narcissist punishes you for being a separate individual until very little is left of you to rebel. The goal is for you to become an echo of his needs, completely dependent on him for your definition of reality and worth. And for the narcissist, that is perfect control. The system is now decoded. It is not about random angry outbursts. It is not about bad days. It is not about you being difficult or too sensitive. It is about a deliberate, multifaceted, and relentless system of control. Think of it as the architecture of a prison. Pillar 1, explicit punishment, is the steel bars and the armed guards. It is the fear that keeps you physically contained, afraid to step, out of line. Pillar 2, passive punishment, is the instability. It is the ground shaking beneath your feet, the silent treatment that keeps you unbalanced and anxious, unable to find solid footing. Pillar 3, reality punishment, is the psychological erosion. It is the gaslighting that says the bars do not exist, that the ground is not shaking, and that the prison is, in fact, a palace. It is what prevents you from trusting your own eyes to find the way out. You felt confused because the system was designed to create confusion. You felt exhausted because you were fighting against this system 24/7. You felt guilty because you were conditioned to take the blame for every failure in his system. The turning point is not learning how to dodge the punishments. It is not learning to be a better prisoner. The turning point is seeing the architecture. It is understanding that you were not in a relationship. You were in a hostile control system. The narcissist did not punish you because you were insufficient. He punished you because you were a threat. He punished your light, your intelligence, your joy, your independence. He had to build this elaborate prison because he feared that if he did not, you would simply see him for what he is and walk away. The punishment was an admission of your strength. He only punishes what he fears. Understanding this is the first step to deactivating the power he had over you. The clarity you have gained is not just an intellectual insight. It is the escape map. You were not crazy. You were not the problem. You were being punished for being real, in a world that demanded you be fake. And your understanding of this mechanism is the key that opens the door. In the description of this video, you will find a link to support materials created with care to help you understand and reframe what you have lived or are currently living through. Feel free to leave your account, your vent, or even a suggestion for a topic for the next video in the comments below. Click on the suggested video on the screen and continue with me in another video. Remember, you are light. Never forget to shine.